Hello friends, welcome, namaskar. In this session, we are going to discuss the previous year questions of UPSC prelims and the topic is public finance. So in the chapter of public finance, we have already discussed various concepts. We have discussed about the fiscal policy, about the budget, capital and revenue items, and we have discussed the deficits. We have discussed various terminologies associated with the public finance. Now let us see the important questions which have been asked in the UPSC previous year examinations. So I will give you 30 seconds for each of the question. You should take that time and try to solve the question yourself, and then we will have a discussion about the explanation. So your 30 seconds starts now for this question. So let us see statement 1, assertion A. Fiscal deficit is always greater than budgetary deficit. So budgetary deficit is always 0 and fiscal deficit is basically equal to the budgetary deficit plus the borrowings, and these borrowings can be from RBI and maybe from other places. So this statement is correct. Reason: fiscal deficit is the borrowing from the RBI plus other liabilities of the government to meet its expenditure. This statement is also correct. And in fact, this statement of reason is completely accurate as far as this assertion is concerned. So both A and R are true, and R is the correct explanation of A. So answer is option A, right? Now let us see the next question. Again, your time starts now. Thirty seconds. Let us see this question. Match list 1 and list 2 and select the correct answer using the codes given below. This question was asked in 2001. The previous question was asked in 1999. Fiscal deficit, budget deficit, revenue deficit and primary deficit. So let us see each one of the explanation. Excess of total expenditure over the total receipts. This is budget deficit. Excess of revenue expenditure over the revenue receipt. This is revenue deficit. Excess of total expenditure over the total receipts less the borrowing. This is the fiscal deficit. And excess of total expenditure over the total receipt less borrowing and the interest payment. This is the primary deficit only. So if we see what is the correct answer, so A is 3 and D is 4 over here, B is 1 and C is 2. So answer is option A. I hope you understand and know each one of the item which have been mentioned over here. Next question. Your time starts now. With reference to Indian public finance, consider the following statement. And the question belongs to 2002. External liabilities reported in the union budget are based on historical exchange rate. So external liabilities reported in the union budget, they are not based upon the historical exchange rate, rather they are based upon the exchange rate prevailing on the 31st of March of the particular year. So why is that? Because exchange rate which are available today, that is on the date of the reporting, those exchange rate will be taken. Because if the payment has to be made, that payment will be made in today's rate, not in the earlier rate, right? So to keep this figure to the practical level, the reporting is based upon the latest rate, not upon the historical rate. Statement number 2, continued high borrowing has kept real interest rate high in the economy. So when borrowing is high, the interest rate also remains high, right? So borrowing high means the demand is high, so definitely the cost of money, that is the interest rate, will always be high in that case. So although this is the situational question of 2002, but still if we see the conceptually, still we can drive the answer. The upward trend in the ratio of fiscal deficit of GDP in the recent years has an adverse effect on the private investment. Conceptually also this is correct. The fiscal deficit actually crowds out the private investment. Other than that, there are two more adverse impact of fiscal deficit. It is inflationary in nature, and secondly, it creates a burden on the future generations. Interest payment is the single largest component of the non-planned revenue expenditure of the union government. This is a current affairs question of that time. So the answer of this question is 2, 3 and 4. So at that time the interest payment was the largest as far as the non-planned revenue expenditure is concerned. So this statement 4 will not be asked in the current time because we do not have any classification like non-plan. So plan and non-plan classification was abolished in the year 2017, right? Again your time starts now. Your 30 seconds starts now. In fact, this is a very simple question. I don't think that you need 30 seconds. I will straight away discuss this question. Fiscal Responsibility and Budget Management Act concerns A. Fiscal deficit only, B. Revenue deficit only, both fiscal and revenue deficit. This is the answer. So FRBM Act of 2003, it lays down the target for the central government. So it lays down that between 2003 and 2008-9 the fiscal deficit will be reduced to 3% and revenue deficit will be reduced to 0%. However, in reality this does not happen, and why this did not happen? Because there was a financial crisis going on in the world. Ultimately in 2008 this FRBM Act was amended as per the recommendation of the encasing committee, and now we have the new target for 22-23, but those targets will also be missed because of the current global slowdown which has been forced because of the corona based lockdown. Next question, I will give you 30 seconds for this, so take 30 seconds and give the answer. In the context of governance, consider the following. So this question was asked in 2010. Number 1, encouraging FDI. So before reading the statement, let us see what is the question. Which of the above can be used as a measure to control the fiscal deficit? So fiscal deficit is always equal to the amount of borrowing and the other liabilities, right? So how the fiscal deficit can be reduced? Encouraging FDI, this will not have any impact on the fiscal deficit, because this has an impact on the BOP deficit, but this has not been linked to the public finance. This has nothing to do with the public finance. The fiscal deficit is basically do with the government finances. This FDI has nothing to do with the government finances. The money will come from one person and it will come to India and it will be invested somewhere. It has nothing to do with the government finances. Privatization of higher educational institution. This has also nothing to do with the fiscal deficit, because privatization has nothing to do with how much expenditure will be incurred from the side of government. Downsizing of bureaucracy. Yes, if the bureaucracy is reduced, if the number of people in the government has reduced, that means the salary expenditure will reduce. If the salary expenditure is reduced, that means the revenue expenditure will is reduced. If the revenue expenditure is reduced, definitely the fiscal deficit will come down. So this statement is correct. Statement number 4, selling or offloading the shares of public sector undertaking. That means increase in the capital receipt. So if the capital receipts are increased, then also fiscal deficit can be reduced, right? So fiscal deficit can be reduced when either the expenditure goes down or the receipt comes up, right? So in the statement number 3, the expenditure is coming down. In the statement number 4, the expenditure is the receipts are increasing. So in this case, the answer will be option D, statement 3 and 4. Next question, this is very easy question. In India, deficit financing is used for raising the resources. 4. So this question was asked in 2003. So you take 5 seconds and then we will discuss. So in this question, let us discuss each option. In India, deficit financing is used for raising resources. So deficit financing means the government is borrowing the resources, and that means there is a high expenditure and less revenue. A, economic development. So yeah, economic development के लिए ऐसा हो सकता है, because whenever there is recession, that means economic growth rate is reducing, then the government goes for the fiscal stimulus. Fiscal stimulus means the government increases the expenditure and reduces the tax rates. So in such cases, there will be requirement of basically deficit financing, and because of this deficit financing, the economic growth rate can increase, right? So when the government will infuse the money into the market, there will be creation of demand, and that will increase the production also. So the economic development will rise. So in India, deficit financing is used for raising the resources for economic development. This is correct. Statement number 2, redemption of public debt. So deficit financing is basically raising the money for utilizing it for some expenditure, not for taking the public debt, for redeeming the public debt. Adjusting the balance of payment, it has nothing to do with that, and reducing the foreign debt, it also has nothing to do with that. So answer is option A, economic development. So here you can relate with the situation of fiscal stimulus, which I have already discussed in your syllabus. Again, this is a very good question and you should take 30 seconds to answer this. In fact, this question is outdated, because this question is asking about the non-plan expenditure, which has been abolished. This plan non-plan distinction has been abolished in 2017, because this was very illogical, right? But still the answer to this question will be 1, 2, 3 and 4. I will not discuss this question because this question is irrelevant in the present context. But can I ask you, defense expenditure is revenue or capital? This is revenue. Unless something is said, it will be considered as a revenue. If something is said, for example, if the question says the road has been constructed on the border, so that will be part of the capital expenditure, because in that we have created the asset. So if the expenditure is impacting the asset or liability, then it is a capital expenditure. Subsidies, it is part of the revenue expenditure clearly. And do you remember the top three subsidies as per the latest economic survey. The top three subsidies are highest. Number one is food subsidy. Number two, fertilizer subsidy. And number three, fuel subsidy. All expenditures linked with the previous year plan period. So expenditure of previous year plan, they are basically, as of now we divide either into the revenue or capital. So if the nature is that it does not impact the asset and liability, then it is revenue, otherwise it is capital. Interest payment, it is purely revenue expenditure, right? Can I ask one more item from you just to check your understanding? There is one more item, repayment of loan. So interest payment is revenue, but if the government makes repayment of some loan which it has taken earlier, that is capital item. So please be sure. And can I ask one more question from you? Interest versus grant. Sorry, the loan versus grant. Loan is a capital item and grant is a revenue item. Loan affects the capital asset or capital liability, and grant does not affect the capital asset and capital liability. Next question is also very easy. Economic Survey of India is published officially by whom? Very easy question. Ministry of Finance. And in the Ministry of Finance, under the leadership of Chief Economic Advisor, it is prepared. And my question is Economic Survey a constitutional document? The answer is no. It is presented by convention by the Ministry of Finance in the both houses of Parliament. And do you know the date? It is presented one day before the presentation of the annual financial statement. So these days this is presented on 31st of January every year for the past 12 months. Next question, which one of the following is responsible for preparation and presentation of the union budget to the Parliament? Do you know the answer? So there are basically 4 departments of the Ministry of Finance. So which department? The answer is Department of Economic Affairs. And do you know about all the 4 departments? The first department is Department of Revenue, which talks about the tax revenues and non-tax revenues, especially these CBDT, Central Board of Direct Taxes, and CBIC, Central Board of Indirect Taxes. That is part of the this Department of Revenue. Department of Economic Affairs, it is responsible for budget preparation. Department of Financial Services, it takes care of the banking sector and the other financial institutions. Department of Expenditure, it takes care of the expenditure side. And there is one more department which deals with the disinvestment. Consider the following actions by the government. So here you take 30 seconds and then we will start, because this is a good conceptual question. You should take your time and then we will discuss. Consider the following actions by the government. Question of 2010. Which of the above actions can be considered as part of the fiscal stimulus package? So fiscal stimulus is used in case of recession or slowdown. So when there is poor economic growth rate, then to boost the economic growth rate, the government uses the fiscal stimulus. As part of the fiscal stimulus, either the expenditure is increased or the receipt is decreased, especially the tax rates, right? So tax rates are decreased. When the tax rates are decreased, people have more money to spend. If they have more money to spend, they can generate the demand for the industry and the production can increase. The government also increases the expenditure. It can increase the expenditure by giving the more subsidy that will create the demand in the market, or by creating infrastructure, by spending on the infrastructure, so that it can generate the jobs and it can also generate the demand for the industry. So expenditure is increased and receipts are decreased. Now let us see first statement, cutting the tax rate. So this is automatically part of the fiscal stimulus. Increasing the government spending. Yes, abolishing the subsidies. This is wrong. So subsidies can be increased, cannot be abolished as part of the fiscal stimulus package. My question is, in India, when did this fiscal stimulus package has been used? The answer is, it was used in 2008-9, primarily because of the global recession which happened because of the subprime crisis of the USA. And in the recent time also, we are using this especially during this corona lockdown situation. So answer here is statement 1 and 2, option A. Next question, this is also comparatively easy question, but language is little bit longer, therefore you should take 30 seconds and solve this question carefully. Which one of the following statements appropriately describe the fiscal stimulus? Again, the question is on the fiscal stimulus. This fiscal stimulus question came in 2010 and 11 again. Why? Because at that time, India was under the global recession. So, it required the fiscal stimulus. Government gave various fiscal stimulus packages. Again, this question is becoming important in the recent time because of the fiscal stimulus being given by the government for the purpose of managing this corona lockdown situation. So here let us understand each statement. Statement 1, it is a massive investment by the government in manufacturing sector. So it is not limited to the manufacturing sector. Therefore this is not the answer. It is an intense affirmative action of the government to boost economic activity in the country. Yes, this can be one of the answer. It is government's intensive action on financial institutions to ensure disbursement of loans to agriculture and allied sector to promote greater food production and contain food inflation. This is also very, very limited phenomena. It is an extreme affirmative action to pursue its policy of financial inclusion. Again, this is very, very limited. So friends, you should read all the statement whenever you are solving the question. जब भी आप क्वेश्चन सोल्व कर रहे हैं, आप सारे स्टेटमेंट को पढ़ेंगे. ऐसा नहीं है कि आप एक ही स्टेटमेंट को पढ़ रहे हैं, दो स्टेटमेंट बाकी स्टेटमेंट को छोड़ रहे हैं. ये चारों स्टेटमेंट बहुत ही क्लोजली आपकी एसोसिएटेड है विद द फिस्कल स्टिमुलस, राइट. लेकिन सबसे ज्यादा जो आपका क्लोज है वो है ऑप्शन बी. अगर आपका इन चारों ऑप्शन में से कोई भी ऑप्शन रखा जाए और 3 और ऑप्शन हो जिसका आंसर आपको पता ही नहीं है, यानी कि बहुत एक बैंकिंग सेक्टर से उठा के रख दिया, एक एक्सटर्नल सेक्टर से उठा के रख दिया, एक इन्फ्लेशन से उठा के रख दिया, वो एकदम अनरिलेटेड स्टेटमेंट है फिस्कल स्टिमुलस से. इन दैट केस इनमें से कोई भी स्टेटमेंट कहीं ना कहीं फिट हो सकता है. तो बेसिकली इन चारों स्टेटमेंटों में से स्टेटमेंट नंबर बी इज मोस्ट अप्रोप्रिएट, is the right answer, but there is a possibility that in some questions you might not find the exact right answer, but in that case you have to look for the very close option. Next question. So take 30 seconds. Again, this is a good question. There has been a persistent deficit budget year after year. Which of the following actions can be taken by the government to reduce the deficit? So answer is how to reduce the deficit. So if the government wants to reduce the deficit, then there can be two ways. Either we reduce the expenditure or we increase the receipts, right? So we will analyze each option whether they are falling under any of these two categories or not. If not, then that is the not correct answer. Reducing revenue expenditure, yes. So statement 1 is the correct statement. Introducing new welfare schemes, no, because this will increase the expenditure, not reduce the expenditure. Rationalizing subsidies, yes. Rationalization means eliminating unnecessary subsidies, targeted benefit, targeted use of the subsidies. Yes, this is a correct. Expanding industries, this has nothing to do with the fiscal deficit. So answer is option 1 and 3, that is option A. Next question. This is a question which is actually taken from the economic survey, right? So this is a trendy question. You have to answer this question based upon the latest data. But if we actually see this 2017, in fact, even if if the same question you get now also, the answer will remain same. So what is the question? First read this question and just consider the latest data from the latest economic survey and answer this question based upon that. This is very good example of which type of question are asked from the economic survey. So you should actually understand that this type of questions are asked from the economic survey. Tax revenue as a percentage of GDP of India has steadily increased in the last decade. Tax revenue GDP as a percentage of GDP has steadily increased as per the economic survey. This is incorrect. So there has been ups and downs year and because of different situations. Fiscal deficit as a percentage of GDP of India has steadily increased. No, there has been ups and downs. Sometimes it was reducing, sometimes it was increasing. So there have been ups and downs. The situation has not been basically consistent. So in this case, both are incorrect. So answer is option D. With this, the discussion of the previous questions is complete. Thank you very much. God bless. Central sector schemes versus centrally sponsored schemes, right? What is the difference between the two? So basically, the central government is implementing various schemes. It is formulating various schemes for the benefit of people, right? So these schemes can be of two types. ये स्कीम दो तरह की होती हैं. One is central sector schemes, another is centrally sponsored scheme, right? So these are the two categories. Central sector schemes, these are 100% center funded. So 100% fund is coming from the center. Centrally sponsored schemes, in case of these schemes, the center state both contribute, right, in different ratios. So for different schemes and for different categories of states, there can be different ratio. It can be ratio of 90-10. It can be ratio of 70-30. It can be ratio of 75-25. It can be ratio of 50-50, right? So there can be different ratio which needs to be contributed by the center and state both, right? So for example, in case of 90-10, 90% is the central government funding, 10% is the state government. Central government can give this money to the state government in the form of loan, right? So this 10% money, this can be given by the central government in the form of loan, but not necessarily, right? Depends. It depends from scheme to scheme, and it depends from state to state also. Sometimes state government can take the loan from the center, or sometimes state government can say that okay, I will pay from my own pocket, right? So primarily you have to understand 90% is the center, 10% state, 70% center, 30% state. So in different scheme, different ratio can be applied, right? So this is one difference between the two. The second point of difference is, in case of central sector scheme, the implementation is by central government machinery.
The implementation is by the central government machinery primarily, right? So for example, we have Pradhan Mantri Gram Sadak Yojana, right? So here the implementation is done under the overall supervision of the central government. Yes, central government can take the help of the state agency, local gram panchayat. It can use all available machineries, but primary responsibility of implementation lies with the central government. The central government is the primary agency for implementation of such schemes. ठीक है? In case of central sponsored scheme, the primary responsibility of implementation is by the states. So state government, they are primarily responsible for implementation. ठीक है? State government की primary responsibility है implementation की. Now, third difference, this central sector schemes, they are applied for those subjects which are in the union list, right? Which are in the union list, and here these are primarily used in those areas which are in the state list. जो area state list में है वहां पर primarily इसको use किया जाता है. ठीक है? So these are the major differences. Now this money 90%, 70%, 75%, 50%, this money can either be given to the state as part of the consolidated fund of India, like the transfer from consolidated fund of India to the consolidated fund of state, or it can be, say, in the form of transfer to the local government, transfer to some specific state ministry. So different mechanism can be there for transferring this money. The mechanism is not some well defined. There can be more than 1, 2, 3, 4 various mechanism which can be applied in such case. तो इस केस में बहुत सारे अलग अलग मैकेनिज्म यूज किए जा सकते हैं. ठीक है? So you can see central sector schemes are those which are 100% funded by the union government, implemented by central government machinery, and these schemes are formulated on subjects from the union list, right? And the resources are not generally transferred to the states. The resources are generally given to the central ministries who implement the schemes, right? So central ministries, they get the fund and they utilize under their own guidance. The money is not transferred to the state under these schemes. So these are the various central sector schemes. You can see crop insurance scheme, regional connectivity scheme, right? Price stabilization fund, right? Police infrastructure, Kisan Sampada Yojana, right? Then education of minorities girls, LPG connection to poor households, this Sahaj Bijli Har Ghar Yojana, that is a Saubhagya Yojana, Deen Dayal Upadhyay Gram Jyoti Yojana, right? Sagarmala, MP led scheme, this is also central sector scheme. National Highway Authority of India, including the road sector development, IPDS, all the renewable energy schemes. So you can see a lot of schemes are there which are part of the central sector scheme. In such case 100% money is given by the central government. So आपको याद रखने की जरूरत नहीं है. You do not need to remember the name of all these schemes. Just have an idea. Now, what is the meaning of centrally sponsored scheme? So as per the Basel Committee report of 1987, these are the schemes which are funded directly by the central ministries or departments and implemented by the states. Yeah, so funded by the central ministries and department, implemented by the states or their agencies. So primary aspect is implementation. Implementation is the main thing. Implementation is done by the state government. तो मेजर चीज क्या है कि इम्प्लीमेंटेशन स्टेट गवर्नमेंट से हो रही है, ठीक है, irrespective of their pattern of financing, unless they fall under the central sphere of responsibility, that is the union list. ठीक है, तो उनकी pattern of financing can be any, pattern of financing can be any. The major thing is implementation is done by the state government. This is the definition given by the centrally sponsored schemes. Now we can see the major features. Certain percentage is given by the center and state both in different ratios, 50-50, 70-30, 75-25, 90-10. Implementation by the state government. This is a differentiating part. Primarily state list subjects are used, and the funds can be routed through various mechanisms, through Consolidated Fund of India, through directly to the state or district level autonomous bodies. So there can be different mechanism which can be used to transfer the money, right? There is not a single mechanism, but there are different various mechanisms. Now these centrally sponsored scheme, they were restructured. So basically B.K. Chaturvedi committee, it was constituted. Why? So this centrally sponsored scheme, every government will come and launch a new scheme. The subject matter is same, the name is changed. जब कांग्रेस की गवर्नमेंट आएगी तो स्कीम का नाम होगा राजीव गांधी स्कीम, इंदिरा गांधी स्कीम. जब भाजपा की सरकार आएगी तो दीनदयाल उपाध्याय, अटल बिहारी वाजपेयी, नाम बदल देंगे, नई स्कीम लॉन्च कर देंगे. तो ब्यूरोक्रेसी इज वेरी कंफ्यूजन स्टेटस कि कौन से स्कीम किस चीज के लिए है. बेनिफिशियरीज आर आल्सो इन ट्रबल, implementing agencies are also in trouble. So there is lot of complication, duplication, and lot of inefficiency which started happening as a result of the large number of centrally sponsored scheme, right? So for the same purpose, there are hundreds of schemes. So B.K. Chaturvedi committee said, that we should combine these schemes into core schemes and non-core schemes, right? So all these schemes, first they were reduced from 300 to 66, and then 66 to 50, and then 50 to 30, right? So these centrally sponsored schemes, they have been reduced. Another reason why this has been reduced is because in the Niti Aayog, we always operate on the principle of cooperative federalism, and the premise is given to the state government. They know their best, so they are given the more fund by the Finance Commission, and they should have their own discretion how to utilize the fund. If the fund are given through centrally sponsored scheme, then central government has the control that how much money will be given and what will be the terms and condition. So central government is the primary agency which is deciding how much money and what are the terms and condition. So this actually reduces the autonomy, accountability, responsibility of the state government. Therefore, now these centrally sponsored schemes, they are released to the state plans as part of the state budget. So primarily we provide the fund under this mechanism, that majority of the fund are going through state budget, right? So rather than making the funds conditional, we want to make them unconditional, and we want to give maximum fund through the state's budget. So this new method is started after the budget of 14-15. So what will be the benefit of this new system? It will provide more autonomy, more authority, and more responsibility to the state in the implementation of the schemes. Now, as per Union Budget 16-17, the total schemes stand at 30 schemes, and these schemes have been divided into two categories: core scheme and optional scheme. तो कोर स्कीम और ऑप्शनल स्कीम दो तरह की स्कीम होंगी, और हमने टोटल स्कीम्स को दो पार्ट में डिवाइड कर दिया है, कोर स्कीम एंड द ऑप्शनल स्कीम्स. ठीक है. नाउ कोर स्कीम्स. So in case of core scheme, this will be the funding pattern for the 8 northeastern states and 3 Himalayan states, that is special category status states. The funding mechanism will be 90-10, right? In case of other state, this will be 60-40, and in case of UT, this will be 100%, right? 100% by the center. So which schemes are kept under the core scheme? There are lot many schemes, but within the core scheme, there are further core of the core schemes. There are further core of the core schemes, right? So these core of the core schemes, they are primarily for social protection and social inclusion purposes, right? So they are primarily for social protection and social inclusion purposes. I am repeating, these are primarily for social protection and social inclusion purposes, and they are called core of the core scheme, right? And these are the they are the first charge on the available fund. So whatever funds are available, the first priority will be given to the core of the core schemes or core of the core areas. Now let us see list of the core schemes. These are the core schemes, and these core schemes are further categorized into core of the core scheme and other core schemes. So core of the core scheme include National Social Assistance Program. So under this program, various pensions are given. For example, pension to the old age, widow, disabled, right? So various kind of pensions are given under this National Social Assistance Program. Then MG-NREGA is also part of the core of the core. Then umbrella scheme for development of SC, ST, minority and other vulnerable group. So these are the schemes which are primarily focusing upon whom? On social protection. Primarily this National Social Assistance Program and MG-NREGA. NSAP and MG-NREGA, they are primarily focusing upon social protection, social inclusion. So these schemes, these 4 schemes, 3, 4, 5, 6, they are primarily focusing upon social inclusion. So we have these 6 schemes which are part of the core schemes. Then we have other core schemes: Green Revolution, White Revolution, Blue Revolution, Krishi Sinchai Yojana, Gram Sadak Yojana, Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, National Rural Drinking Water Mission, Swachh Bharat Mission, National Health Mission, National Education Mission, National Program for Midday Meal Scheme, Umbrella ICDS, Ajivika. So this program is written here also, Gram Sadak Yojana. I need to check it out why this is coming here. Amrut, Smart Cities Mission, all these schemes, Rural Mission, Swasthya Bima, Judiciary, Border Development, right? So all these schemes are part of the core scheme. आपको याद रखने की जरूरत नहीं है. You do not need to remember the name of the scheme, right? Questions from anyone? If you have any question, you can ask me before we start the new topic. Constitutional provisions to levy and collect the taxes. ठीक है? So what are the constitutional provisions regarding the power which have been given to the center and state, right? So which tax will be collected by the center, which will be collected by the state, and which can be collected both by the state and center, that is in the concurrent list. So which taxes will be collected by which government have been well defined. So you can see union taxes given in the list 1 of the 7th schedule. So out of this, I will mark some areas which you should remember. The rest of the areas you do not need to remember. Taxes on income other than agricultural income, right? So this agricultural income tax is levied by the state government. It is under the power of state government, but tax on other income other than agricultural income, it can be levied by the central government only, right? So all these taxes can be levied only and only by the central government. State government cannot levy any tax in these areas. Central government has the sole authority to levy the taxes, right? Corporation tax. What is the meaning of corporation tax? That is income tax on profits of company. For example, Reliance company, Tata company. Then custom duty. Custom duty means import duty, export duty, है ना? Import duty or export duty. Then excise duty on alcoholic liquors and narcotics, right? Taxes, then come to the bottom, right? Taxes on sale and purchase of goods in case of interstate trade, है ना? Interstate trade में भी सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट ही लगा सकती है, ठीक है? बाकी आपको याद रखने की जरूरत नहीं है, आप पढ़ लेना, बट नो नीड टू रिमेंबर. All this matter has already been given in the taxation handout. So under the taxation handout, this has already been given. State government, the matters which are exclusively under the state government, these include land revenue, right? So they can collect the revenue from the agricultural land and other land, right? Taxes on the agricultural income, taxes on the sale of purchase of goods. This has been now moved to concurrent list, right? So this is no longer in the state list. Earlier it was in the state list, but now this is part of the concurrent list. Be careful, right? We already discussed, when we discussed the chapter of goods and service tax, we already discussed that these are some of the areas which have been transferred to the concurrent list, जो concurrent list में transfer हो गए हैं, ठीक है? And then there are other taxes, आपको याद रखने की जरूरत नहीं है, you can read if you want. Then concurrent taxes, taxes on motor vehicles, stamp duties on non-judicial stamps. Then we have these taxes on goods, taxes on services, right? Which are now also in part of the, which are also part of the concurrent list, which are part of the concurrent list after the amendment by the GST Amendment Act, 101 Amendment Act. Now, the taxes which are levied by union. Levied का मतलब the power is with the union, but the collection means the machinery of collection is by the state, and appropriation. What is the meaning of appropriation? Appropriation means the money belongs to state, है ना? तो legal power is with the union government, but collection power and retention power or appropriation power is with the state government. That is, state government is the owner of this money. Appropriation means state government is the owner of this money, right? So it includes stamp duty, excise duty on medical preparations, etc. Then taxes levied and collected by the union. So collection is done by the union, and fully appropriated, that is 100% belong to the state government. These include terminal taxes, railway freight, right? Excise duty on mill made textile, all these, right? Taxes levied and collected by the union and proceeds partially shared with the state. Yeah, now this is important, right? Taxes levied and collected by the union and proceeds partially shared with the state. Now for these purposes the finance commission is established. इसके लिए हम लोग क्या करते हैं, फाइनेंस कमीशन को establish करते हैं. This finance commission is actually working to divide such taxes which are in the union list and which needs to be shared, ठीक है. So till 2000, that is the 80th constitutional amendment, sharing of the union taxes was done in accordance with article 270 and 272, right? So article 270 and 272, these articles used to be the relevant article for distribution of money, and it was the, you know, like this was the primary source of transfer of money, right? Now in the 80th amendment, it altered the pattern of sharing of union taxes. It dropped the article 272 and it amended the article 270. Now in the new article, it provides for sharing of all the taxes and duties referred to in the union list, putting all in a divisible pool, right? So now all those taxes which are in the union list, this list, all the taxes which are in this list, now all of these taxes, they will be divided. First they will be included as the divisible pool. पहले हम उसको क्या करेंगे, divisible pool, हम pool में हम उसको लेके आएंगे, right? What is the meaning of divisible pool? It is the portion of gross tax revenue which is distributed between the center and state. It consists of all the taxes except it does not include what? Surcharge and cess which are levied for a specific purpose, right? Net of collection charges. So what is the meaning of surcharge? For example, surcharge on income tax, cess, for example, Swachh Bharat cess, primary education cess, higher education cess. So these cess and these surcharge are for a particular purpose. So these are not included in the divisible pool. ठीक है, उसको divisible pool में include नहीं करते हैं. So you can see there are some exceptions. That is surcharge and cesses, right? They are not part of the pool. वो pool का part नहीं है. About the finance commission, it is a quasi judicial body which is constituted by the President of India every 5th year. So these are the points which are basically from the polity section. It has a chairman and there are 4 other members. The duration of the office is specified by the president. They are eligible for reappointment. As per the article 280, they have to make a recommendation on the distribution of net proceeds. They also have to suggest the principles regarding the grants in aid. So I told you in the starting of the session only that grant in aid which are given out of CFI, they are also suggested by the finance commission. Every finance commission has to review the current state of finances of the union and state. They have also to give suggestion about the financial position of the local bodies and any other matter which is requested by the central government. That matter can also be considered by the finance commission. So we can see tax devolution. So if there is a formula which is devised and this is the predominant channel of transfer of money, there is divisible pool. Now grants in aid. So I told you that grants in aid are also decided by the finance commission. This finance commission actually decides the broad principles, right? Broad principles. What are these grants in aid? So basically, if we see finance commission, it takes care of horizontal and vertical both balances, horizontal balance and vertical balance. So vertical balance, that means the money is transferred from central government to state government, so that state government are not at disadvantageous position, right? State government get the money from the central government. Horizontal balance, that means if some states, there are some states which are disadvantageous, or in particular year they might face some problem, so those states might be disadvantageous as compared to the other state, right? So such state, they get the funds from the center so that they can have the equal status like the other state. So horizontal balance means balancing between various state, like that is a state and state. Vertical balancing means balancing between the center and the state, right? So this vertical balance is taken care of by the division of pool, but horizontal balance is taken care of by the grants in aid. Okay, so this grants in aid acts as a supplementary tool in addition to the horizontal, in addition to this divisible pool, right? So divisible pool is also contributing both to the vertical and horizontal, not only to the vertical but also to the horizontal, right? So article 275, it recommends the principles as well as quantum of grant, that what should be the principal and how much should be the grant. So there are 5 principles: budget, efforts of state, grant, so that it can help equalize the standard of basic services. Basic services means education, health, some special burden on the particular state. For example, Jammu and Kashmir, it has always had a special burden of protection, and then there can be other beneficial service of national interest. On this principle, that some state, they can get some extra money, okay? So basically, this grants in aid money, this was primarily given earlier. Now this money is not that much popular. अभी ये इतना ज़्यादा popular नहीं है. This is primarily a gap filling grant, right? Or this grant can also be given to the rural and urban local bodies. So primarily, the divisible pool is the main thing. Okay. Now, the 14th Finance Commission. It has recommended about the distribution of divisible pool between 2015 to 2020, right? So this is applicable for this period, and this commission has also recommended that earlier 32% money was transferred. Earlier 32% of the divisible pool was transferred to the state government. Now this should be increased to 42%, right? This should be increased to 42%. So this is the new horizontal formula. Sorry, there is a new horizontal formula, that is a separate point, right? So this horizontal formula is this one, that how this money of 40%, 42% will be transferred by the state, by the center to the various state, right? So which state will get how much will depend upon this horizontal formula. There is a new horizontal formula which has been given by the state government, right? Earlier there was 32%, now 42%. Why this change? Because state government should have more autonomy, right? State government were given the money through centrally sponsored scheme. Under centrally sponsored scheme, they used to comply to certain terms and condition. Now, when they are receiving extra 10% without any condition, so now the difference is, earlier state were receiving the money, but they were receiving in the form of centrally sponsored scheme where there is some terms and condition. Now they are receiving the money without any condition, so now they have more autonomy. They can devise their own schemes. They are not dependent on the center. They are not to comply any condition. This is the advantage of this 42% formula, right? Now this new formula, and this new formula you can see, first the population criteria. In the 13th Finance Commission, 25% of the weightage, 25% of the fund were transferred based upon the population criteria, right? Population of 1971. Now, why the population of 1971 is taken? What is the logic? 1971 की population क्यों consider की जाती है? So who would like to give the answer? कौन बताना चाहेगा इसके बारे में? So basically, why this 1971 has been kept as a base, because our population was growing very fastly, right? We entered into the third stage of demographic transition theory. We started facing population explosion. At this point of time, the government said that different states should have family planning programs, right? And all the state will get the funds according to 1971 population, because there are some states, for example southern states, which are applying family planning programs successfully and are able to control their population. So they are able to control their population, right? And on the other hand, the northern states and eastern states, UP, Bihar, MP, these states are not controlling their population. Their population is exploding. So after some time, like if we take the population of, if we don't take the population of 1971, for example, we take the population of 1991 or 2001, then population of northern and eastern states has increased a lot, right? So those states, southern states, which did not increase their population, they will be at disadvantageous position if we consider the population of 2001 or 2011, है ना? तो अगर हम 2001 की या 2011 की population consider करेंगे, we will be giving more fund to northern state and eastern state, despite the good performance of the southern states in controlling the population. So the population control measures should be incentivized so that they are not at a disadvantageous position just because they were able to control their population. By controlling their population, they contributed to the world, to the country, right? Because now when population is controlled, we are free from many problems, right? So they should be given some incentive. That is why this formula of 1971 was adopted, right? The same logic is applied to the delimitation exercise in the polity. So when you read the chapter of polity, delimitation, you will find that delimitation is also done on the 1971 population, है ना? तो जो पार्लियामेंट की डिलिमिटेशन होती है वो 1971 की पॉपुलेशन के हिसाब से होती है. So we have the total 545 members of parliament. The 545 members of parliament remain same, right? So in the southern state, each member of parliament has less population as compared to northern state, right? We are not increasing the seats of MP for the northern and eastern state just because their population is increasing. So even if they represent more number of people, but we will not increase the number of MP for the northern and eastern state, because if we increase number of seats for the northern and center eastern state, then southern state will be at disadvantageous position. Just because they control their population, they will be punished. They will be punished because they will not be able to increase their number of member of parliament. Okay, so same concept is used there only, and same concept is used here also. So the reason is population explosion after the 1971, right? So till 13th Finance Commission, 25% weightage was given to the 1971 population. Now 17.5. The population of 2011 has been given 10% weightage by 14th Finance Commission. Now you can say, sir, you are saying that we took 1971 so that southern states are not disincentivized. They did not get punished. Why did you, like, why 14th Finance Commission introduced this 10% 2011 criteria? The reason is because when the population of northern state is increasing, their requirement of resources is also increasing. Their requirement of health, education, infrastructure is also increasing. So they need to be given the funds according to their population also, right? So we are not saying that we will give 25% as per 2011 population, but at least we can start with 10%. So we are not disincentivizing the southern state, but at the same time we have to take care. We have to take care of the increasing population and the requirement of the northern states, right? So this is why this 2001 to 2011 population was also considered, right? And it was not population exactly, it was demographic change, that how there has been a change, okay? Now fiscal capacity or income distance, right? Capacity or income distance. So what is this? So basically this is, you can see here, so it is the distance of gross state GDP of a particular state from the state with the highest GSDP. For example, the state with the highest GDP is Maharashtra, and the highest GSDP is 1000. Now there is a state called Jharkhand. Now the GSDP of Jharkhand is 200. So this is indicating the fiscal distance. This is indicating that Jharkhand is actually behind the state of Maharashtra with a huge resource base, right? Or there is a difference in the size. So accordingly different share should be given to the states of different size, right? So this is called fiscal capacity or income distance. Then there is weightage of area also. For the first time, 14th Finance Commission introduced forest cover concept also, so that more funds can be given for those states which have increased their forest cover. So this will increase their environmental consciousness. And this fiscal discipline criteria was eliminated. Earlier this was there, but now this was eliminated. So what is fiscal discipline? The fiscal discipline is basically how much revenue they are able to raise as a percentage of revenue expenditure, right? So now this criteria is no longer there. Now we have population of 1971, population change till 2011, fiscal or income distance, area, and forest cover, right? So these are the 5 criteria which are used as of now. Now 15th Finance Commission. So this Finance Commission is constituted for 5-year period of 2022 to 2025. This is headed by the N.K. Singh, and this commission gave its report in February 2020, very recently. So this is the current affairs issue also, very important for examination also. So on February 1, 2020, they gave the report for 1 year for the financial year 2021, right? For the next 5 years, they will be giving another report on October 30, 2020. So the current report is for year of 2021 only. Now, this commission has reduced the vertical devolution from 42% to 41%, right? कम किया है इसने. और this commission has also recommended that we should set up an expert group to initiate a non-lapsable fund for the defense expenditure, right? So we should have the defense expenditure fund as a non-lapsable. Now this is the criteria for horizontal devolution. So this is a wrong heading. Okay. Criteria for devolution. The income distance criteria has been reduced from 50 to 45. Population of 1971 has been completely eliminated. This is a major point of controversy, that now those states which reduce their population are disincentivized. This is a major criticism of this commission, because they have actually eliminated this criteria, right? Now population of 2011 from 10% to 15%, area 15%, forest cover no longer, forest and ecology yes, right? So earlier it was only forest cover, now forest and ecology, so it is now more diverse, and the ratio has been increased from 7.5 to 10%. Demographic performance, it is taken care of, right? So population of 1971 was eliminated, but in place of this, demographic performance criteria was introduced, right? And then tax effort. Tax effort means how much resources they are able to mobilize. So demographic performance ratio, it means the ratio of state's population in 1971 to its fertility rate in 2011. Ratio of state's population in 1971. So how much was the state's population in 1971 divided by the fertility rate in 2011, right? So this is the demographic performance formula. Now there are some impacts on different states. Southern states, they will lose, especially the Karnataka, and those states which are able to control the fertility rate below the replacement level, they will be getting benefited. Karnataka is the biggest loser. Criticism again, population parameter which is which has been used is criticized. Use of 2011 population has resulted into increased fund for the UP Bihar, while the smaller state with low fertility rate have lost out, right? So this is a criticism given over here, but Finance Commission has said that we are considering the demographic performance. So those states which have kept the fertility rate of low, they will be rewarded, right? They will be rewarded at the same time. We will take care of the increasing population of the northern states, right? We will take care of the increasing population of the northern states. So this is all about the Finance Commission and the fiscal federalism. If you have any question, you can ask me.
So in today's session, we will start with the fiscal federalism. This fiscal federalism is a part of public finance chapter. In the chapter of public finance, we discussed about fiscal policy, we discussed about the taxation chapter, है ना? तो हम लोगों ने fiscal policy के बारे में discuss किया था, taxation के बारे में discuss किया था, budget के बारे में discussion किया था. Budget can be of two types: capital budget, revenue budget. We also discussed about different kind of deficits, fiscal deficit, so on and so forth, right? So all these concepts we have already discussed. Now we will discuss about the fiscal federalism. So first of all, inside the fiscal federalism, we will be discussing three important areas. One is, what is the meaning of special category status? What is the status of this special category status? Then we will discuss about the central schemes and the centrally sponsored schemes. And finally, we will discuss about the finance commissions, the background of finance commissions, 14th finance commission, 15th finance commission, right? So we will be discussing about all these concepts. We will be discussing about all these areas. Okay? चलिए. So first of all, about the fiscal federalism. If we like, what is fiscal federalism? So fiscal federalism is, it actually shows the relationship between center and state in terms of financial relations. So the financial relations between the center and state reflect the fiscal federalism, right? So what is the meaning of federalism? Federalism means when two levels of government, that is a central government and a state government, both levels of government are operating simultaneously with a clear division of power between the two. So there are two levels of government. One is the central government, another is the state government. Both are working simultaneously and both of them have a very clear division of the powers and functions. That is federalism. In the context of finance, when center and state are operating independently, as well as there is clear definition or clear division of the different functions between the two, we call it fiscal federalism. इसको हम क्या बोलते हैं? Fiscal federalism बोलते हैं. ठीक है? चलिए. तो fiscal federalism is primarily about giving the power to the center and the state. है ना? Now in India, the central government occupies the dominating role as compared to the state government, right? Central government occupies the dominant role as compared to the state government. So first, let us see how the states get money from center. So you might be aware, till 2014 we had a planning commission. 2014 तक planning commission हुआ करता था, right? After that, this planning commission was replaced by the नीति आयोग. उसके बाद में ये जो प्लानिंग कमीशन था, ये नीति आयोग से रिप्लेस हो गया. ठीक है? So we can divide this transfer mechanism in two eras. That is, till 2014, what were the different mechanisms which were used to transfer the money from the center to the state, right? So this was the time of planning commission. So at this time, planning commission used to work. Then 2014 onwards, what is the mechanism? 2014 onwards, now we are in the era of Niti Ayog. So what after the 2014? Let us see that also. Okay. So till 2014 and after 2014, there are two different periods, right? So till 2014, the first mechanism was finance commission. This finance commission primarily focused upon the devolution of taxes, So central government, the union government, it collects taxes like income tax, and such taxes they are distributed to the states. उसको कहाँ पे हम भेजते हैं? उसको हम states को distribute करते हैं, ठीक है? They are given to the state government. उसको state government को हम देते हैं, right? So how such taxes are devolved by the center to the state? That is a mechanism which is decided by the Finance Commission. ठीक है? Second, there are some grants in aid which are also given as per the Finance Commission recommendation. ठीक है? The Finance Commission primarily recommends two aspects. One, the devolution of the taxes. Two, the major principles about how the different grants in aid can be given by the center to the state. Right? Now, as of now, these two mechanisms are continuing. So there is no change in these two mechanisms. Okay. Now, let us see other mechanisms. Till 2014, after 2014. So till 2014, there used to be one major thing which is called central assistance for states and UTs. So what is this central assistance? Basically, state governments have their own budget, which is separate from the central budget. So central government contributes some money in the budget of the state government through this mechanism of central assistance, right? So this mechanism of central assistance used to be there till 2014, right? As of now, this mechanism of central assistance, this has been discontinued. Why? Now you will ask why this mechanism has been discontinued. This mechanism has been discontinued because earlier the center to state transfer of taxes was 32%. So suppose center collects 100 rupees as the taxes. Out of the 100 rupees, 32 rupees will go to the state government. Now, after the 2014, the center to state transfer of fund is 42%, and this is as per the 14th Finance Commission. So 14th Finance Commission has increased the share of states from 32%. So this share has been increased from 32% to 42%. So this is one reason why the central assistance has been discontinued. This central assistance has been discontinued. This has been discontinued. However, still there are some small things which continue out of this central assistance, but those things are covered in assistance for centrally sponsored schemes, right? So there are some centrally sponsored scheme. So assistance through centrally sponsored scheme is also given to the state government. This is also continuing as of now. Continuing, but with major changes. So there are some major changes which have been done, which we will discuss. What are these changes in the centrally sponsored schemes which have been done? Okay. So this is another mechanism. Apart from that, there used to be special category status, right? This special category status was given to some states who were historically disadvantaged, right? So those states who were, give me a second. Yeah. So especially special category status was given earlier. Now this special category status has been continued, but with status quo. Status quo means those states which got the status of special category, they will continue, but the concept of special category status has been discontinued for the future. तो upcoming future time के लिए ये concept हमने खत्म कर दिया है. We have discontinued this concept for the future, but those states which obtain the status of special category status, they will continue with this status. वो इस status से आपने continue करेंगे, ठीक है? Apart from that, there are two other ways through which the money is transferred, which are continuing as of now also. First is in the form of MPLADs. So in the recent times, you would have come across the news that central government has abandoned this MPLAD scheme for certain period. So the funds under this MPLAD have been discontinued for certain period from the central government, right? So under this MPLAD scheme, central government is giving the fund to every member of parliament, and every member of parliament can spend this amount in his or her constituency as per the discretion. Okay. Apart from that, there are some investment which are made by central government from national saving scheme fund into states special government securities. So the central government gets the fund under the national small saving fund, है ना? So what is this national small saving fund? For example, you know about this Kisan Vikas Patra. So anyone can go and deposit the money. This is a kind of small saving scheme where you can deposit the money, and the money is lying with the central government. With the central government, there are three different accounts. If we see, one is the Consolidated Fund of India, second is the Public Accounts of India, and third is the Contingency Fund. So this NSS, National Small Saving Fund, this comes under the public accounts. ये public account का अंदर आता है, ठीक है? So all these are the different mechanisms which have been used from time to time, and as of now, the major routes are three. One, finance commission. Two, centrally sponsored schemes. And three, special category status states. These are the three mechanisms. Apart from that, this MP-led or this national small saving scheme, this is also used in addition to these three primary tools of transfer of money from the central government to the state government. Now, let us start discussion about the special category status, right? Or special category states. So we will discuss each concept now, right? So what does it mean? We will discuss about special category status. We will discuss about central sponsored scheme, and then we will discuss about this finance commission. Okay. So what is special category? So basically, there are some states which are historically facing various disadvantages, right? I'm repeating. These states which are facing some historical disadvantage as compared to the other state, they are called special category states, right? So in 1969, for the first time, Fifth Finance Commission, it suggested that some preferential treatment should be given to disadvantageous status. So disadvantageous states. Right. So these states, what is the meaning of disadvantageous states? Those states which have low resource base and poor human development indicators, right? This special category status, it was given by Planning Commission and National Development Council. This Planning Commission and National Development Council, they have now been abolished. तो अभी ये नहीं है. They have been abolished after the this Niti Aayog came into existence, right? So this is the origin. Now, which states or how to identify such states? So to identify such states, some parameters were kept. Number one, these states can be hilly and difficult terrain states. So those states which are hilly are having the difficult terrain. For example, Himachal Pradesh, maybe Uttarakhand, or some northeastern states, right? Or secondly, these states can be low population density states and having the sizable share of tribal population. So as of now, just understand. I will show you the slide. You can see there again, right? So as of now, just understand. So the first criteria is geographical. Second is population, that the density is very, very low, and majority population is tribal. Third criteria, that these states are strategically located along the borders with the neighboring countries. For example, Jammu and Kashmir. For example, northeastern states, Nagaland. Right? So these states which are strategically located along the border with the neighboring countries, they are also disadvantages. Right? Next, those states which are having economic and backward infrastructure, right? And next, those states which are having non-viable state finances. So those states which satisfy one or more of these conditions, they can be granted the status of special category status, and total 11 states were granted this status over a period of time. Total 11 states, which include northeastern states, Sikkim, Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand, and Jammu and Kashmir. Right? So this is how we identify. Right? So there is a predefined criteria. And now, once they are classified as a special category, there are some extra benefit which they get, right? So if one state is not a special category state, if some of the state is not a special category state, that is, the state is a simple state, यानी कि जो state है वो एक simple state है. Non-special category state. So in such case, if center gives some money, this money will be given in a way that 60% is the grant and 40% is the loan. So if central government gives 100 rupees, 60 rupees will be taken to be the grant. What is the meaning of grant? Grant means it's a kind of gift. It's a kind of gift or donation. So this money will not be returned back by the state. Okay? So this is case of non-special category state. But in case of special category state, this ratio is changed to 90% grant and 10% loan. So 90% amount will be kept by the state without any obligation of returning back, and 10% amount will be returned back in the future. So this is the primary difference. This is the primary difference between the two, right? So this is the primary difference between the two, right? And what is the status as of now? In 2014, with the coming up of Niti Aayog, now no new state is being given the status of special category. अभी कोई भी नई स्टेट को स्पेशल कैटेगरी स्टेटस नहीं मिल रहा है, right? First of all, as we said that in 1969 it started, right? There is no constitutional obligation. There is no word which is written in the constitution which says that the states will be classified as the special category states, right? So this is not a constitutional obligation. This is primarily the discretion of the central government. It is not the obligation under the constitution. So it can be abolished without any problem. That is why this was abolished in 2014, right? This problem or this topic has been in news because Andhra Pradesh once it was segregated into two states, Andhra Pradesh actually demanded special category status from the central government, right? So Andhra Pradesh demanded, but central government did not give the status. Central government said that we can give you the package. हम आपको एक package दे सकते हैं. We can give you the financial package considering your requirement to build a new capital, your requirement to build new institutions, but we cannot give you the special category status because after the 14th Finance Commission, this special category status has now been eliminated. As of now, there is no such concept called special category status. अब आज के समय में ऐसा कोई concept बचा ही नहीं है. अब ऐसा कोई concept है ही नहीं कि हम आपको special category status दे सके. ठीक है? Apart from that, there are other states, for example, state of Bihar, Odisha. They are also demanding this special category status. ठीक है? So as of now, there is no new state being given the special category status, but the old 11 states are continuing. जो पुराने 11 स्टेट हैं वो continue हो रही हैं. So now you can see while the constitution does not have any provision for categorization of any state as a special category state, right? तो constitution में कोई obligation नहीं है, but considering the fact that some areas in India are historically disadvantaged as compared to others, the center has assisted the states. Center has assisted the states with funds in the past allocated by the former planning commission body and National Development Council. If we see the brief history, starting from 1969, the 5th Finance Commission recommended this, right? And Assam, Jammu and Kashmir, Nagaland, they were the first. After that, we included Himachal Pradesh, Sikkim, and remaining northeast states. In 2000, we also included Uttarakhand. So at present, there are 11 such states, 7 the sisters of northeast, 3 northern hill states, and then we have Sikkim. Okay. Now there are further demands from the Andhra Pradesh, from the Bihar, and from Odisha as well as Jharkhand. Now what are the criteria? What are the criteria of special category status? The hilly and difficult terrain. Number 2, low population density and or sizable share of tribal population. Third, strategic location along the border with the neighboring countries. Fourth, economic and infrastructure backwardness. And then we have non-viable nature of state finances, right? Non-viable nature of state finances. So 11 states we have already seen. Until 2014, there are 11 states. What are the benefits? So benefit is, you can see that in case of central sponsored scheme and external aid, the special category states, they will be getting 90% grant, 10% loan, and other state will be getting 60% grant and 40% loan, right? And there are various other benefits which were available. After the 1st of April 2015, subsequent to the Finance Commission recommendation, the Niti Aayog replaced Planning Commission. The Planning Commission had the power to allocate the fund, but Niti Aayog has no power to allocate the fund. Right? So this is also supposed to be the reason that earlier it was the planning commission which were having the power to allocate the fund. Now this power is not available with the Niti Aayog. अब नीति आयोग के पास में ऐसी कोई power नहीं है, right? So the central government says that 14th Finance Commission, it effectively removed the concept of special category states after its recommendations were accepted in 2015, right? So why this was eliminated? ऐसा eliminate क्यों हुआ था? Why this special category status was eliminated? Because 14th Finance Commission increased the share of states in the divisible pool of taxes from 32% to 42%, right? Hence this, इसलिए ऐसा हुआ था, right?